Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Mary Perricone, and I'm here with Dr. Suzanne Lie. We'll get that name straight in a moment. For our continuing conversations on creating your own reality. Hello, Sue. How are you today? I can't speak, so I hope you can.
Not very well. No, the energies are taking me on a wild ride. I'm up to the euphoria and then crashing down into crawling around on the third dimension, I think, as I said before. So it feels wonderful when I can capture this feeling, and feels desperately lonely when I lose connection with it.
Oh, yes, desperately lonely. I've had those feelings of loneliness, of emptiness. It's a falling away, in my opinion, a falling away of that third, fourth dimensional consciousness. And we realize that we really don't want it back, but we're waiting for our next step. And in my opinion, and what I've been experiencing, which is also I feel like I am being thrown against, bouncing off the walls, is that continuous need to anchor, re-anchor as often as I can. I have had the experience of literally bumping into walls, certainly, but it's a little bit more intense right now. It seems that the energy has washed over us, and then it has fallen back, and it's left some debris on the beach, if you will. Yeah, that debris is on the beach, and we're walking through it and looking at it, and there are still things that trigger us.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That helped me because I'm also feeling a lot of those things, and I'm also knowing that the key word now is let go. And I know that as this higher light is going into deeper levels of our unconscious, subconscious self, old portions of our beingness, of all of our myriad incarnations that we have taken on this dear beloved Gaia in order to assist her so that she can too return home. All of those old memories are just coming up, and this is our chance as we walk along the beach, so to speak, and see all of these remnants. This is our opportunity to really love all these components of ourselves. And I know that that is not my first reaction. And then I have to love the fact that my first reaction is not to love myself. So it is a wonderful and totally confusing and completely crazy-making experience. And we're so happy that all of you that are hearing this are joining us on this adventure. And of course, a lot of other people that aren't going to hear this. There's actually a lot more people like us than we can even imagine. And I, for one, am so happily awaiting that time that we can go up to a stranger and say, "Hi, how are you? My name is Sue Lie, and how are you doing with your ascension? This is really an exciting and somewhat challenging time." Wouldn't that be wonderful to be able to do that just with a complete stranger? Because there are no strangers. Everyone's a component of ourself.
I had some news today that a dear friend made his transition, and he and his family were not only friends but teachers. And so I sent an email to another friend to let her know that he had passed away, and I made mention that it was, with his passing, it was the closing of an era of an era. And I received an email back from her that said, yes, there are many eras closing at the same time. And I was surprised with her response, but I totally agreed with it. Ordinarily, I would not have thought that she would have responded in that way. So there is an opening. There is an opening, and people are becoming more awake, sharing their thoughts, feelings, and experiences in ways that they have not done before. It's just coming out of them. Just coming out of them. That's really wonderful.
That is very wonderful, because I think that comes from our awakening to our unity consciousness. Because we don't feel that sense of separation, and maybe they will judge us, or maybe they will say something that will make us sad. Now, as we're in unity consciousness, we are realizing that we're all experiencing the same things. We just experience it in different ways.
Yes, we are embracing our expansion. We're expanding and we're embracing it, whether we know it or not. We're changing.
Yes.
Our thoughts are changing. Our feelings are changing. And when that happens, doesn't our perception change?
Absolutely.
Don't we see things from a different perspective?
Absolutely.
Less in duality. Less in duality. It's not always either or.
Yes.
Sometimes it has to be and. Either and.
Well, the Arcturians tell me that either or is a third dimensional concept. And even in our fourth dimensional dreams, we see people morph back in and out of each other all the time.
Yes.
And so they say that, in fact, there was this one issue I was having. I could do this or I could do that. So it was either this or either that. And I was actually driving in the car. I wasn't even in a meditative stance. And I asked the Arcturians, which one? And the Arcturians said, either or is a third dimensional thought. The answer is both. And then I realized, oh, why didn't I think of both? It was actually very easy to do both, but I was so in that either or third dimensional construct that I didn't consider that I could do both. And I actually forgot about that until I just sat there to tell you about this story. And I'm really going to put a mark on my forehead that always do both. We are free of limitations. We don't have to make these choices of I can do this or that or the other or the other. We can do everything.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that's part of, because when I'm able to, I mean, I can't do it when I'm talking to a lot of people or if I'm driving the car or such, but I'm increasingly like slipping in to this like, oh, I want to go to sleep. And it's for like a second I'm thinking about going to sleep, but then I kind of like wake up and, okay, well, I didn't fall asleep, but something definitely happened.
Yes.
And I think we're all getting closer and more aware of that. And the Arcturians again said that, and I'm changing my life to have a much calmer, stiller life, because they said in order to actually live a multi-dimensional consciousness, I have to have a stiller, slower, calmer life.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that completely logical?
Yes.
About maybe 2 miles from my home, there is a very large farm, and it has been there for generations. And they have a farm market, beginning in the early spring until late fall. And so in the season, the growing season, I try to go there twice a week. And so I was there on Saturday, and I looked at over into the field, and there were people out there picking something, and I knew that they were customers just like me, and I went inside and I said, "What are those folks over there picking?" And the lady behind the counter said, "Blackberries." And I said, "Those are blackberry bushes." She said, "Yes." She said, "Come back Monday or Wednesday, and there will be a lot that are ripe." Well, Monday morning, I was awakened at dark 30, and all I could think of in my mind was, pick blackberries, pick blackberries, pick blackberries. Now, I've never picked blackberries, and I've never made a blackberry anything. So 9 o'clock they open. I was there at 9:05. Now, I'm laughing at myself for being there to begin with. And so I go out into the field, and these bushes were so beautiful, about 5.5 feet high. So you're not bending over. You're just walking along, reaching into the bush, picking these huge, luscious, beautiful, dark blueberries. And there are also on the bush red berries, which are the unripened berry. You can tell that I know almost nothing about berries, but they are phenomenal. So I'm picking the blackberries, and I picked way more than I needed to. But as I'm walking along the row, I'm saying, "Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Gaia. Look at this beauty. Look at this bounty." And so I took my blackberries and I brought them home. And because I had too many, I put them into little, baggies and shared them with the neighbors, kept some for my family. But again, it was way more than I could ever use. And so for me on Monday morning, to be out the door at 9 o'clock to go and pick blackberries was very unusual. But what a gift.
Yes.
What a gift that was.
Yes, we are remembering as we awaken, as we expand our consciousness back into our higher frequencies. We are remembering that the planet is a being, exactly like us. We are a being. The planet is a being. And I'd like to ask you now, Mary, if you can share that story that you had about the meditation, about being in the core of the planet.
Yes. And I think this occurred back in January or February. Sue and I came together to have a meditation with another friend. And we were silent. Our friend opened the meditation and did a centering exercise. And all of a sudden, as happens in meditation, I went deeper perhaps than I had ever been. And I found myself I knew I was in the core of Gaia. And there were tunnels and the earth around me, and I was walking down a tunnel. And ahead of me, I could see an opening, and there was a beautiful, vibrant, strong golden light coming out of that opening. And a very small being, walked inside of the opening. And then the next thing I knew, I was catapulted up through the core of Gaia, and I was observing a being coming out of the core of Gaia, which was so exquisite, I cannot form the words to describe this being. It was huge, coming out of the center of the planet. Every color of the rainbow, but it kept changing back to a white, silver, diamond color, and it was sparkling. I had the feeling that it was angelic, but it was beautiful and exquisite. And even though that experience was only a few moments, I felt like the experience had lasted what I would call a long time. So today I was sharing with Sue that in my automatic writing I received and was asked to take on another assignment and to receive information from the earth elementals of fire, air, water, earth, ether, or earth, air, fire, water, ether. And when I received that, I thought back to that experience in the core of Gaia. And so perhaps this is a logical next step. Now, my theory, and if you knew me, I have many theories. All of a sudden I will say, okay, I have a new theory. It's theory 463. I have a theory about everything. And my theory is that if this is the next step for me to merge with the higher self and really work with the body elementals, then perhaps it is the logical next step for all of us who are on this path.
Well, I think that's very interesting because that's exactly what I have received with my latest chapter of the book. Actually, it's quite a few chapters, but it's about merging with the elementals because as we move into the highest expression of ourselves, remember, it isn't either or anymore. Now it's both. As we move into the highest expressions of ourselves, then we're actually moving into the most minute expressions with ourselves. And as we merge with the galaxy, the multiverse, the universe, and all the higher worlds of the higher densities of reality, then of course we will also merge with the insects and the fish and the animals and the birds and the dirt and the water and the air and the clouds, because we are moving into unity consciousness. And I remember a story I read long ago by Manly Hall. If you are an esoteric person such as Mary and I, then you would recognize that name. I can't remember the whole story, but I remember the end. And he was looking for the face of, I think he probably said God, it was written long ago, but he was looking for the face of God, and he finally looked, I think, into a clear pond, and he saw his own face intertwined with the face of God. And he was shocked, and he looked up, and he looked at a rock, and there was the face. And he looked at the dirt, and there was the face. And he looked at the sky, and there was the face. And he looked at a tree. Everywhere he looked, there was the face of God, of the One, of Him, of us all. And this is likely what Ascension is about. Because Ascension is not escape from a place that we're sick of. Ascension is transmutation of everything that we perceive into a higher frequency of reality. Now, simultaneously, remember, it's not either or. In the 3-day thing, you would say, we perceive everything that we see, or we can expand our consciousness to transmute. But this is both. As we perceive everything as transmuted, everything as one with us, then we transmute ourselves and everything else. Now, along the way, there's going to be that which is of a density that cannot maintain that higher frequency. And that is the rubble on the shore that Mary was talking about. Those are the components of physicality that are unable to transmute within this now. And so we just lovingly let go of that which is not yet prepared to make that shift within us, within our lives, within our planet, and most of all, within our perceptions. And I would like to call in the Arcturians here for a moment. Our beloved ones, we are joyous to be able to speak with all of you through this one being, and we want all of you to know that we speak through all beings, for we don't speak through either Suzanne or through Mary or through one or more of you. We always speak through everyone within the now of the one. And when we say we are not speaking of we, just the Arcturians. We are speaking of we, all life, all the higher frequencies of reality that are joyously merging with all the frequencies of the third and fourth dimension. And we are so celebrating the vision that occurs as we merge. And within that merging, there is a beautiful transmutation, which is an expansion into a higher frequency. That does not mean that the lower frequency disappears. And for many of you who are volunteers to assist Gaia, you will maintain your physical shell for as long as Gaia needs your assistance. Gaia also assists you by a grounding your wonderful multidimensional light that would likely burn out your minute physical form if you did not have the wonderful body of Gaia who is sharing this process with you. We ask all of you now to feel yourself ground your essence deep into the core of Gaia. And as you ground your essence deep into the core of Gaia, allow that small being to come up through that core, all the way through the planet, and all the way through you, into you, beyond you, so that you too become that beautiful being of light that you have always been, but you just forgot. Mary, did you have something to add?
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you, Arcturians, for that expansion of this conversation and the validation of the importance of working with the element, the absolute importance of working with the elementals. And as the Arcturians were talking, I wrote down, it is a process of transmuting our concepts and our beliefs into an expanded or a higher perception of the same thing, of the same issue. It's just an expanded perception into either one. It's all good, if you will.
It's all good. And the reality that we perceive is a reality that we live.
Yes.
And that is not an easy thing to do. I'm speaking from my good old 3D self here. It is very easy to get pulled into the dramas of physical life. And please do not judge yourself if that occurs. I wouldn't even be able to. I'd have to have one of those grocery store counters to count all the times that I get pulled into physical drama.
Exactly.
And that's okay, because as all of us, as we all get pulled into the dramas of the physical plane, to those lower frequencies, and then remember to transmute them, we transmute ourselves by transmuting our elementals of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And these elementals, we breathe them in, they move through our body, and then we breathe them out. So every time we transmute ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, and our body. We transmute these elementals, and as we exhale, these newly transmuted elementals go out into the world to be inhaled by other people and to go into the core of the earth, to go up into the atmosphere. And so what you transmute within yourself, you contribute to all of your reality.
The transformation happens simultaneously within each person, and therefore within each person in the planet. Wow, that's a great place to stop. Our time has just sped by again, Sue. Thank you.
Well, there is no time, so.
This is true.
So if any of you find yourself leaving time while you're listening to this and come back and it's been an hour later, but you're still only 2 minutes from the end of the show, then you know that you went on a wonderful adventure, and isn't that validating?
That's great. That's great. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you real soon.
Yes. Thank you so much, and blessings be to every one of you, and happy transmutation.
Yes.